All right, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Mayum coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone, and much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and sincerity. And just want to do a quick video, just going into this shooting that just took place up in Canada. I believe it was actually in Montreal. But yeah, man, this is the things that you're going to continue to see more of, take place in the earth. And the reason for that is because, let's just get this in Revelations. The book of Revelations, chapter 18 and verse 21. And it reads, "And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all." And we understand, for those of us that have the true understanding of the Bible and what it speaks of taking place in the last days, which we are living in, is that the violence that is going to take place here in Babylon, which is known as America, is going to be capped off with thermonuclear missiles. All right, but prior to that, as we are in the prior of the missiles, coming to hit America, we are witnessing violence, take place. All right, and examples like this is something that the Heavenly Father is bringing upon the earth. All right, let's get this in Matthew chapter 12, because who the world literally calls Jesus Christ. All right. He is coming to and he himself in the sense of, him physically being, coming to this earth, he physically is going to bring violence in the form of, destroying the wicked and their armies. But he also in the spirit is bringing a spirit to this earth that is invoking violence. Okay, and to prove that real quick, this is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34 says, "Think not," and this is the words of the Messiah, all right, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. This is his words. And it reads, Matthew 10 and 34, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." And what does a sword do? Well, first to understand what does a sword do, because everyone knows that an ancient sword, you used to cut. All right, it was used in battle as well to kill. But what would be that instrument that's used today? Okay, and then when you do the thinking and the analyzing, for those of you that have to do that, you come to the conclusion that the modern day sword is guns. Okay, and so as we continue to draw closer and closer to the return of the Messiah, whose name is Yahweh Shai, all right, we continue to see more and more swords, being used to to kill. All right, and this is all a part of the spirit of the Lord that he's bringing upon the earth, because once again, as we read in Revelations chapter 18, this place, America, will be taken down with that great violence. Okay, so that this buildup that we see taking place is all leading towards the ultimate destruction of Babylon. Now, there's been violence all over the earth, and really not so much here in America. You have had the shooters, mass shooters here in America, dudes that go up in schools and malls and, public events, but, in these other countries, it's a lot more frivolous for people to go and kill someone else. All right. Because it's, the laws, so to say, in some of these other countries aren't as, structured in a way that, where guns really are banned like that. I mean, there are a lot of countries out there that ban weapons for this exact reason, but they still, you have a lot more so-called terrorist attacks that take place. But here in America, it's its own citizens that do the majority of these shootings, and the majority of these guys are Edomites, okay, which Esau, Edom, was given the blessing of the sword. All right, let's just get that in Genesis real quick. This is Genesis 27 and verse, I'll just start at verse 39 to get to the point. This is when Esau was crying to Isaac, his father, because Isaac was hoodwinked, so to say, into, it was all the spirit. It was all according to the plan of the Most High, but he was hoodwinked into giving the blessing not unto Esau, who was the firstborn, but unto Jacob, all right, who dressed himself in a way that fooled his father Isaac into thinking that he was actually blessing Esau. But this is that interaction when Esau came to Isaac now. So Genesis 27 and 39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And you see, this is what the Lord is going to have, or what he's having, happen here on this earth. All right, these Edomites, all right, or Esau, because Esau is Edom. All right, they have been given the blessing of the sword. And who on this earth has the knowledge and the understanding of these weapons? It ain't these other nations, man. There's only one particular group of people on this earth, and they are called the so-called white people. All right, Edomites, according to the Bible. That is their biblical nationality, and their infatuation with weapons and their skill with weapons goes back to the blessing that they were given. Okay, this is why, and when you read Genesis 25, it tells you one of the characteristics of Esau was that he was a cunning hunter. Okay, and you see these devils, in every aspect of how they do conduct business and how they move in this world is all like a skilled hunter, man, like a cunning hunter. All right, they do business deals in a particular manner to where they pretty much get over on their whoever they're doing business with. All right, they set up a deal in a particular way to where it benefits them rather than all the parties involved in this business transaction. All right, but even in the way that they conduct geopolitics, it's all in a manner to where Esau can take from these other nations their resources. They set them up, they lay traps. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this real quick. Never mind. Precept I was thinking of is speaking on something else, but they lay traps, and look at one of the hobbies of these Edomites, these so-called white people. One of their main hobbies that a lot of their men and their women like to do is to go out hunting. From little kids, they're taught how to shoot, to go shoot deer, turkey, hogs, whatever the hell they go and do. All right, Edomites, the so-called white people, are the same ones that go to other countries, specifically Africa, looking for animals to shoot, to lay up as trophies. Okay, that's these people, man. All right, so let's get this quick precept, because when you see people like this, like this dude here in Canada that just came and gunned down a few people, and I believe one of them was a small hatter. One of the people that he killed was a small hatter. So you already know they're gonna come out and say, hey, this is some anti-Semitic attack. Okay, another attack on the small hats, because they're apparently they're the most killed people on this earth. Apparently, the way they would If you were to know nothing about what's the history of what's happened on Earth, if you were to come here, all right, let's say, for shits and giggles, a race from another world, and they were to ask, hey, well, tell us the history of what's taking place here, they will literally paint you the image that these small hatters have been the victims of all the different nations of the earth, always going after them and mistreating them, when it's been the complete opposite. The small hatters are the ones that have gained control over the whole earth, going all the way back to, starting with the Rothschilds, when they gained, their foothold as the banks of nations of this earth. They've had a stranglehold on nations, and they've been the ones that have abused the other nations more. And to be more specific, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are as the sand of the sea, they have been the main ones that have been mistreated, misused, and victimized. Okay, which is all according to the scriptures, but nonetheless, it's not been the small hatters that are the victims, but this is how they portray themselves. They're always the victims in everything that takes place. Okay, and it's all of this is leading towards a controlled response. Okay, one of their mottos that these devils go by is order out of chaos. Okay, so this chaos that we see happening, it's all done on purpose to bring about controlled measures on how they can manipulate society to go in a particular direction, and this is what they've been doing. All right, ultimately leading to this control that's going to get into the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast. All right, because then now all of it, you already know, there's already been talks about how they need to take weapons from people. Okay, and now they're gonna ramp up those talks again. And a small hatter got gunned down. They're gonna definitely try to set things in order, man. Okay, and this is why the famine of the word is gonna come, because the Lord ain't gonna have his men out here when all this shit is coming down the wire. Okay, let's go here to Proverbs 16, I believe, like around the 9th verse. Verse 4, Salakia. Proverbs 16 and verse 4 says, The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Okay, so these devils, all right, and for those of you that don't know, Esau Edom is the wicked. All right, there are other nations that can be wicked, but the wicked is Esau Edom, pursuant to Malachi chapter 1 verse 4. All right, they are the border of wickedness. When you come across an Edomite, like you got Edomites all over the place, but whenever you go near these people, you're getting closer to wickedness, man. Some form of wickedness. Okay, an Edomite can't change his ways. He can't become a good person, and he never will be a good person. Jeremiah 23 tells you, or 13 and 23 tells you that. All right, these devils will never be able to change their ways, man. They're evil. They're wicked people, and everything that they do on this earth is wicked and evil, man. They go to sleep thinking evil, and so you have this dude, and I guarantee you, this man has been plotting, and they're gonna have already. There's already talks of this man having a manifesto. These dudes, all these killers, these mass shooters, always got a manifesto, because they plot these things in their beds, man. All right, what's that? Malachi or Micah? Yep, Micah 2 and 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand." You see, that's what these devils do, man. They stay up all night plotting. How am I going to do this? Where am I going to come in from? And then in the morning, what do? They practice it, man. They go out and they do exactly what they've been planning on doing. And you already know this dude up in Canada was plotting this shit. I'm gonna come in through here. I'm gonna have this gun with these rounds. These Edomites are calculated, man. They do things precise when it comes to that sword, man. Okay. But this is what the Lord is bringing upon this earth, man. The Lord is bringing that spirit of vengeance. All right. Let's get that in Sirach. Sirach chapter 39 and verse, I'll start at verse 28. It reads, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. And that's what this dude did. He laid on sore strokes. He took himself out a centurion and from what they're saying, a small hatter, man. And I haven't dug too deep into it to see if there was more, more shootings or more people that were, that were unalived, so to say. All right, but for from the video that I seen, there was 2 people in that video that got, sent back to the Lord. Okay, so those were sore strokes, man. All right, and it says, in the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Now we read in Proverbs that the Lord created the wicked, even the wicked, for the day of evil, man. So when these guys go out and commit these acts that the world deems atrocious, these are things that appease the Lord, because the Lord created them for these purposes, man. Okay, the Lord created these wicked men and women to go out and to commit these acts, all right, and gun down people to appease his wrath, man, because the Lord is angry with this world, especially angry with the wicked. And as a matter of fact, the scriptures tell you the Lord is angry with the wicked every day, man. Okay, so the fact that this dude went out and gunned people down, this was all to fulfill the power. Well, let me keep reading. It says, verse 29, fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. You see? So that sword was created to punish the wicked to destruction, man. So this dude used a sword to punish a couple people. Okay? It says, verse 31, they shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word, right? So there's people out here that the Lord has put a spirit of vengeance in them that are just waiting for that time when the Lord brings that activates them to bring a destruction, man. And that goes for even the leaders of these different countries on the earth. The Lord has put a spirit in them that when the time comes, the Lord's going to activate them to go ahead and send those thermonuclear missiles, man. And that's, again, how the end of this era or this world is going to come, man. By America being destroyed by thermonuclear missiles and other countries being devastated by those same missiles as well. And then the kingdom of heaven be established from this destruction that's going to come. Okay? So, hey, that's pretty much the point. The violence is going to continue to increase, man. The tensions are going to continue to increase until ultimately the bubble pops, man. All right? So, hey, Lord's will, this was edifying. I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of the great millstone. And much salutations and love to you, Akim, out there that are diligently pushing out this word and its truth and sincerity. With that, I say shalom.